Welcome back to Miu Miu Women's Tales, which is, of course, a sequence of women-directed films commissioned biannually by the fashion house Miu Miu. There are now 28. That means we've been doing it for 14 years. After the latest short, The Miu Miu Affair, premiered here on Saturday by Laura Schitterella, our first Argentinian director in the series, I think, and our first mystery genre of the films. It was paired with a martial arts film, so we're really getting round all the different genres, and we'll come to genre in a minute. Before I introduce our guests, our last panel of this year's Miu Miu Women's Tales talks, Raffey Cassidy, Valentina Romani, and Alia Shawkat. Let me just say that we've got about 40 minutes on this very, very hot Monday afternoon. We're going to keep it upbeat, so you're not going to notice that we're all a little bit glowing. There will be opportunities to ask a question, so if you have one, keep it to mind. And then there will be it'll probably be Alia's microphone, we think, that will be roving round the room later on. But first, Manchester's favourite daughter, Raffey Cassidy, first came to prominence in Tim Burton's 2012 Dark Shadows and Yorgos Lanthimos's 2017 Killing of a Sacred Deer, when she was first here on the Miu Miu Women's Tales stage. She was in the 19th Miu Miu Women's Tale, Night Walk, which was directed by Małgorzata Szumowska. How's that? Yeah, I nailed it, good. Then she was back with us 2 years ago in Noah Baumbach's White Noise, which opened here at that time in Venice. Now she's returning with The Brutalist, which opened at the Sala Grande last night. Is that right? In the same direction. Her second film directed by Brady Corbett, is that right? So we're very eager to hear how that went. But first, it's my pleasure to introduce the Italian actor and writer, Valentina Romani, fresh from her role in the Brigitte Bardot biographical television series, it would be. She's best known for her parts in long-running TV crime series, The Red Door and The Sea Beyond. Last year saw her in her third feature, is that right? For the big screen, Nanni Moretti's Brighter Tomorrow. It's not that often, I should say, that we have had an Italian spokesperson for cinema here. So it's quite good to have some views, some insider views on behalf of Venice. So we're eager to hear those views in a moment. 3 decades on screen, Alia Shawkat has built a reputation and a technique which is the toast of her generation of co-creators whose female voices are being sought out at last. She's, of course, renowned for her parts in TV hits Arrested Development and Search Party. And recently, we've seen her in The Old Man and Severance. You're in the second series, or were you in the first as well? Both. Yeah, exactly. Old Man, huge hit in our house, I should say. Blink Twice, Zoe Kravitz's film debut, in which Alia plays a cocktail waitress with a moral compass. Yeah? Is, of course, it opened last weekend. This is Alia's second time at Miu Miu Women's Tales because, of course, she is the star of the 17th film in the series, Shako Mako, which is currently being turned into a feature, which is an amazing fact. It's an incredibly significant thing for Miu Miu Women's Tales for this to be happening, and we're eager to hear about that. But also, Alia is on this year's Impact jury at Venice, so incredibly busy, presumably, and thank you very much for being with us. Please, everyone, welcome Alia, Valentina, and Raffey to the stage. So look, you've just heard hugely divergent careers and achievements and different periods of time on stage and on the screen. But there is one thing that links us all together. And some, literally, you've been in them, Miu Miu Women's Tales. Why don't you tell us, why don't we start with you, Valentina? Have you watched then many? And do you have any personal favourites? Because of course you two are veterans, having been in one. So let's.
Yes, you know, it's hard for me to choose my favorite one, because I think that fashion and cinema has broken a lot of walls. And so I think it's very interesting to see how this happened and how women are including this changing. And the one we saw, we watched on Saturday was very funny and interesting. And I found that Miu Miu, this provocation of Miu Miu was incredible and so original. So I think I like so much this one, that one, yeah.
Yeah, no, it really made me laugh. It reminded me, the first one ever I did the conversations for was Miranda July's, which must have been something like number 7, maybe, no, number 8. And it also had humour. It's amazing how different each one is. Raffey, I mentioned you were in Malgorzata's Night Walk, and that premiered in February 2020, about 5 minutes before the world went into lockdown. What kind of significance did that film have for you, and that relationship with Malgorzata, I guess?
I actually didn't know that. I actually didn't remember that it was before we went into lockdown. So had obviously already worked with Malgo, a bit closer. I'd already worked with Malgo, so I'd already formed that relationship, and then to see her work on more of a minuscule level and more independently with Miu Miu and have more of a say was so amazing. And by the way, that I didn't know that was yours was turning into a feature. It's my favourite one. I absolutely.
It's a lot of people's favourite one.
It's so good. Is Hayley directing it as?
Oh yeah, she wrote it.
Oh my God!
That in a minute. Stop stealing my question.
Sorry. So I'm so sorry. I actually forgot the question.
Well, we were just thinking about what the significance of that film was. It was the start of a relationship. It was the start of a relationship with Miu Miu.
Yes.
You've been coming to Venice a lot. It just felt like it's a few minutes worth of film, but it seems to have really kicked off something important in your life, maybe. Am I saying too much?
No, absolutely. I think this Miu Miu Women's Tales is so special to me, and watching them, the fact that you give big directors, first-time directors, it doesn't matter if someone has a story that they want to tell, then they're given the opportunity, which is really, really hard, and I feel it's somewhat actually getting harder, which is a really negative note, but I just mean like things are really difficult to get funded now. And Miu Miu is a space where they give people that, opportunity to tell a story.
So I think it was the year prior to Raffey's Women's Tales. It was 2018 that I think you were here with Shackle. Oh, was it 19? Oh, yeah, indeed. 2019 with Shackle Mecca. What were your memories of working on that? And how has the experience changed now that you're working on a feature? I know you can't say too much about the film, but...
Well, yes, I mean, making the short was such a blessing. It was such a fun shoot. I was honored that Hayley asked me to be a part of something like that. And she was like, I'm doing a Miu Miu's tale. And I was like, Miu Miu? Me? No. I was very, very flattered. Yeah, we had a great time. I mean, I had no hair. That was a big part of it. And the shoot just went so swimmingly, and she was able to be so creatively free and make all these rad choices. We had Brigitte Lacombe on the set with us, which was amazing, doing these beautiful portraits. It was just so, highbrow, but also felt like a cool indie movie, which is like my favorite combo. And then, yeah, we were able, luckily enough, to make, raise some money and make a feature out of it. The only difference is I'm 7 months pregnant in the film, which we added to the story. But I had the child, obviously. So yeah, the film's in the can now, and it's beautiful, and it's so amazing that it started here. It started with this idea that Miu Miu curated and gave love to, and now it's the story goes on.
For the benefit of anyone that hasn't seen it, it is God, I'm out of my depth to describe it, but it's set at
Good luck, you got it.
in a camp, a sort of reenaction camp to prepare military people for trauma. There's a huge twist in it, and I think the feature is to be called after that camp, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Atropia.
Atropia, and
Yeah. And it's a real place. Yeah.
IMDb has it currently in post-production with Luca Guadagnino attached as co-producer, Women's Tale director Chloe Sevigny to act. I believe your father is even in it. And am I right in saying that A24 is maybe attached? Is that correct? Or am I
don't think
putting
so,
an
but
unnecessary
why not?
cherry on top?
Yeah, let's your words to God's ears. Yeah.
So when shall we see it? Do you know?
I hope soon. Eventually. Time is an illusion, so you'll see it soon enough. Yeah.
Were you aware that it isn't the first Woman's Tale to have been turned into a feature? Crystal Moselle made number 12 that one day, which was about the skaters, and she developed that into Skate Kitchen, which won the Best Directorial Debut at Stockholm Film Festival. I was going to ask you if there was another Miu Miu women's short that you'd like to be made into a feature, but that's quite a difficult question just off the top of your head. I'm just interested in kind of this idea that we're now starting to get to grips with genre. You've got martial arts, you've got, well, I don't know what you would call the genre of Shako Mako, but you've got a kind of mystery drama. Do you think, were you to be given the brief, there's something that you'd like to take on? We've always talked about horror.
As a genre for one of the shorts?
Because I feel like genre has happened around Miu Miu Women's Tales. Then you've got Natasha Lyonne taking on mystery drama with, I'm going to forget.
Janixa Bravo's short, that one?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, but also, in the real world, genre has become a more, what's the drama?
Poker Face?
Exactly, with
Yes.
Poker Face, exactly. And this kind of idea that people want to take on genre again, it was very unfashionable for a long time, right?
Yeah, I'm not so familiar with different genres, but I guess people seem to love horror at the moment. Maybe just because the world is somewhat horrific, so it's reflecting that. But I always think dark comedies is just always my favorite, if that's a genre. Which I thought the Argentinian film had that, where it's just like unexpected laughter. And that film was so beautiful, and I was laughing throughout the whole thing.
Me too. Raffey, last time you were in Venice, as I said, you were in White Noise, acting alongside Greta Gerwig. Whatever happened to her?
I'm not sure. Has anyone heard about her recently? Yes, and I was about to say Barbie was genre, but I won't go into that because I don't really know the answer.
Sort of, it's a genre of its own, it's a universe of its own, isn't it?
Yeah.
At that point, you were just starting to talk about making your second film directed by Brady Corbett, The Brutalist. It opened last night. How did it go?
It went really well. It was my first time seeing it. I think he's done the most amazing job.
Do you want to explain what it is to anybody that hasn't heard about this 12-minute standing ovation?
That's a bad question. So it's basically about an architect who moves to America from Hungary in mid-century, and he moves on his own, and is an amazing architect, and then, I don't want to give too much away, but has moved on his own, and at some point reunites with his family, which I played the niece.
I think what I've got written down here is he meets a client that isn't all he seems, played by Guy Pearce. Is that right?
Yeah, you should have given me that before. That was a good one. And I think Brady really took a risk with making a film. It was what he wanted to do. And he let everyone come in on the fun. And it's something that I'm so proud to be a part of, because it was so fun to make, and he's managed to create something that is really enjoyable to watch. It could have gone well, it could have gone bad, it could have gone well, but at least it was a risk, and it's interesting to see cinema in a different way.
It also stars a couple of Miu Miu Women's Tale stalwarts, Stacey Martin and Felicity Jones, who actually, I think my first year ever here, she was part of this panel here. What was it like working with all of them?
I love Felicity Jones so much. She, because majority of our scenes were together, and she's an incredibly collaborative person who always wants to hear your opinion and experiment as well. But the whole cast were amazing. We all came in and did our own little stories separately, and it was kind of amazing last night to actually see it together as one story.
Mona Fastfold, Brady's co-writer on the project, is part of the kind of Miu Miu Women's Tales family, and she was with us in 2020. Do you typically have much to do with the kind of the writers on a project, and do you ever get any writing input?
With Brady and Mona, I would never ever suggest anything. I think their scripts are perfect from the moment you read them, and it's not something that they've just written in a week, or it's an idea that's come to them quickly. They're so developed, and the references in their work of artists and music and painting, it's all there on the page, and so all of their ideas are shared, so you feel like you're on the same page anyway. So I mean, they are the kind of people that probably they would listen to you, they wouldn't shut you down as an actor that they didn't want to hear your opinion, but no, I would never suggest anything on its perfection, in my opinion.
Valentina, I mentioned that as well as acting, you're a writer, and your book, now I'm going to have a go at that, Guarda che è vero, translates as, look, it's true.
Yeah, it's guarda che è vero. Yeah, look, it's true. Yeah.
Tell me what it's about.
It's a story of a girl who just say only what she thinks. She has no filters, and she became very good friends with this child, 7 years old child, and they, they discovered they're more similar on what they could suppose, because children and this character, Ellen, the girl, they have no filters, so they, explore the world without prejudice and with the joy, and they are exciting in front of everything, because they looks like they are living for the first time. There's something magic, I think, in children.
Do you call that childlike wonderment? Is that the wonderment at the world of a child?
No, their moment together. They go, for example, to the museum, and they play to watch a paint, and to what does this paint suggest to you, and they discover each other, and they become very true friends. And I think that children are amazing for this. They can learn us too much, and that's why maybe this was my motivation, because before becoming an actor, I used to do babysitting to young guys, and I discovered that they are more deep than we can think.
We had Molly Gordon on the sofa yesterday, and we were talking about Theatre Camp, her film, and sort of going against the traditional advice that you shouldn't work with children or animals, and yet she had such amazing improvisational relationships with the children on her film, so she agrees with you. You've said that in interviews that you would love it if one of your stories was optioned, and you've even mentioned who you'd like to do it. Malena Kokoza, who directed you in The Sea Beyond, is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why her?
Because, when I used to work with her in the second season of The Sea Beyond, I realized that when you have the opportunity to work with a female director, there is something like a non-verbal dialogue that make you feel safe, and makes maybe somehow also the work easier, because you don't even need to talk. Just look like now we are. I feel so safe. And I love her way to, see the world. She's so clever, and brilliant. So I think that's why. Yeah.
I mentioned that we do ever, we've had Alicia Rohrwacher, director of Miu Miu Women's Tales, but it isn't always that we have Italian performers on the sofa, so I'd just love it if you just maybe mention a couple of names of people you think we should be aware of.
Yes, of course. Italian directors, you mean?
We might not.
I used to work also with another director. She's Maria Sole Tognazzi. We shot a serial last year, and it was very interesting because of that. Because I realized for the second time this pleasure and this luck to be understood just watching each other in the eyes, and her for sure. There are so many. Last year there is a director named Paola Cortellesi who did a movie who's called There's Still Tomorrow. C'è ancora domani, that it deals with the story of the women right to vote. Is it right? Right to vote, and this was so important, you know. This movie was a phenomenon. Everybody went to the cinema to watch the movie.
Good tip.
And this maybe should suggest us that it's very important to bring such stories. We need it. We need to know our history and why today we have this freedom and why we deserve, just because we have a past full of women that did this for us, to leave us something very precious that it's important, I think.
We'll come back to that point.
Yeah.
Speaking of writing projects, we've talked before about your personal project, Desert People, which I now believe has Natasha Leon attached as a partner in the project. Is that right? Where are you both
she's
up
been
to?
Producing it with me. Yeah, it's still in development stage. Sadly, it takes a long time. But it's the story about my family, so it's a very personal story. They take forever.
Well, I'm pleased to hear it's still on the. That plate is spinning. Meanwhile, over there spinning, you play Jess in Blink Twice. Alia, it's Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut. Can you tell us how that came about?
Yes, Zoe is a dear friend of mine, and for years she was developing this script with the original title Pussy Island, which didn't go over well.
Well, we had it down at the time when we interviewed you. That
was called Pussy Island.
It was called Pussy Island.
Yeah, Blink Twice has a better snap to it, I guess.
Our editorial team really enjoyed it.
Yeah. But I mean, she was always developing this kind of, I think the way they label it now is some kind of Me Too thriller, but I believe it's more than that. But yeah, we were good friends, and I was always just encouraging her, like, well, how's the script coming? If you ever want notes, like, you know, just because in the community we're in with women, it's like we're all trying to get something made. Everyone you know has a project, and you know, you need encouragement to just keep pushing it forward. And she just did a phenomenal job. I mean, she got MGM, and you know, her partner Channing Tatum stars in it, who's a producer as well. And as it was getting close, I really didn't even think that she would consider me, and she just kind of texted me one day and was like, will you play Jess? And I was like, you got it. So we were in the Yucatan, Mexico, for 3 months and shot this crazy movie. With an amazing cast, and Naomi Ackie at the lead, and Gina Davis is in there too, which was really magical. And yeah, it was really fun, and she just turned out such a tight edit, like an amazing paced film that's scary and feels like you're at a party at the same time, and I'm really proud of it. It's a very cool film.
I'm really struck when you say that you describe a kind of a community and a kind of tone at the moment where everybody's got a project and everybody wants to help each other out, and that's indeed the impression that we're getting from all these conversations. But you know, that wasn't the case sitting here 10 years ago. Actually, everybody was keen to be talking about the projects and to be sisterly and to be talking about Me Too and Time's Up and all those sorts of things, but it hadn't happened yet that people were genuinely and literally helping each other out. How did it finally get off the ground, do you think? Why?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think also there's a timing to everything. So I want to be hopeful, but also, be aware of the realities that it's still difficult for anyone to get a film made, not even depending on your gender. But I think, there's something in vogue about being a female director, and now there's a chance where you might be able to get more money, perhaps, than say, just your regular straight white dude, just because you're a woman.
Think of that.
Yeah, but it's like I always tell my friends, I'm like, whatever the reason, let's get it. Like, get the money, get it made, And it's organizations too, like the Miu Miu Women's Tales, that did that way before, because they were like, these are just great filmmakers that need an opportunity and a platform. But yeah, things come and go. So it is really about, in this industry, one of my goals as part of my career was that I wanted to work with my friends. And I've been really lucky that this last year I've worked with, two of my closest female friends, and they've both done magical projects that we've collaborated deeply on, and that's something that I just hope to continue.
Who's the other one?
Haley Gates.
Of course,
Haley Benton Gates and Zoe Kravitz. They're two of my best friends, and they're both have been in like editing hell, and I was just like loved giving them notes and being there as like an actress and as a friend on set, and it's kind of my favorite to be able to be so tight with the director, so you're kind of speaking the same language, like you were saying, Valentina. It is very different, especially when you're girlfriends. It is just kind of like, as she's coming over to give me a note, I'm like, no, I got it. Don't come over here. Like, I got it. I know what you're saying,
Well, along with animals and children, some people might advise you not to work with friends, that it might end those relationships.
Especially friends that are animals or children. Sorry, I got you on that one.
What is it works for you? I mean, you've explained slightly, you've painted it as a picture, but granularly, I mean, it's a long time. And, if things potentially didn't go bad, it could be awful to be in the Yucatan with a friendship that had soured.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. I will say that. Some people like to keep boundaries, but I don't, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I take my work seriously, but then I don't take other things seriously. So it's kind of like a perfect mix where we could just kind of be there on the ground and feel like we're in war, but then after we wrap, we're like, whatever, it has a playful energy to it. And also nowadays with scheduling and children and dogs, it makes it harder to actually see your friends. So now it's really gone to the point where it's like, in order to actually spend quality time, I have to work with my friends. Yeah, and we get to spend 3 months in a weird environment. And I think I prefer that, I guess.
So nobody wants their project to be reduced down to hashtag. I understand that, and I'm sure I tried for a screener. I haven't seen it yet. I blinked twice, but quite apart from the project and what it represents, the Me Too thing. I'm just interested to know whether you feel, whether it's important that those stories do get, it keeps being retold, those issues.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that in our society, especially speaking for American culture, things are very black and white. And then when it comes to something like the Me Too or just any kind of reaction to abuse, everything's very black and white. And I think the next chapter, I hope, of storytelling is a lot more about the gray area. And I think Blink Twice has a taste of that, where it's not just about villainizing men against women. I think there was a film called Cat Person that is based off of a really great article that also talks about that gray area. And just like talking about women's desire and what they actually want. And they're not just victims who are like, I never thought about sex. I can't believe you're proposing such a thing. It's like, no, women have desires and want sex, but that doesn't mean it needs to be done in any kind of way that's not, So I think there's a lot more room for that kind of conversation, but I think it needs to get a lot deeper and more subtle, and just not get dwindled down to some kind of hashtag that's what we're trying to sell. It's not a war. We're actually trying to heal people, ideally, with storytelling.
And one way proactively that we've seen over the kind of years that we've been having these conversations is that women take them sort of literally into their hands by shifting into directing or producing. Now, I'm very interested to hear you say, of course, there's a kind of economic imperative, and good that there is. But I'm just interested to hear that happening. You've already started with Duck Butter in 2018. presumably it really works for you to be able to control your project as well as to sort of slide into other people's.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, sorry, I had a dirty joke in my head after you said that, and I had to let it leave my head. Yeah, I mean, I think that my favorite position on a set is to be just creatively involved as much as possible. So whether, even like, you know, I'm not directing, but I like to be a very involved actor. I don't like to just like wait in my room and, you know, wait till they knock on my door. I want to give notes, I want to talk about the script, I want to be on set and build the rehearsals, I want to just be as involved as possible. So I love it when it feels like it's a really group effort. So that's just my steez.
Raffey, Valentina, are those avenues that might interest you? The fact that we've been listening to so many different, you know, I think we've had multi-hyphenates running to the number 5 or something like that in our panel talks, this producer, writer, actor, etc. And then yet this morning we were listening to actors that like that. No, I still feel I've got a lot to learn. I don't think there's anything, you know, I want to learn beyond my acting. Where are you in that particular continuum?
I don't know. I feel every kind of project to me is different. There are some things that, I mean, right now I love signing on to projects that are still so early, like there's a script and a director and that's about it. Because same as you, I love like talking for someone who wants it.
But there's not one you want to wrestle off the director and just give me that, I'll do it.
No, definitely not right. I think I would write, I don't know, but I think that one day there will be that time, but right now I've still so much to learn and find my own style instead of, you know, copying others, I think. So not right now. Right now I'm happy to learn as an actress, I would say, yeah.
Valentina, what's stopping you adapt your own story? Sorry. What's stopping you adapting your own story? You mentioned the director, but do you fancy doing it yourself?
I think I have so much to learn too. There is, you know, I feel I miss some experience to do it with freedom and feeling comfortable on this. So I just, for the moment, look around and learn and see what happens around me. That is very interesting.
Okay, let's, before we turn over to the floor, have a couple of scoops. Raffey, you've got a couple of projects marked in production. The Silence of Mercy we've been talking about for a long time with Floria Sigismondi, so that's quite far back in the birthing canal still. But I've got the ominously titled The Diamond Shitter, directed by Antonia Campbell-Hughes. What can you tell us about that? What's a diamond shitter?
I'm so excited about that. It's like half Irish and half Switzerland, and it's about someone who it's kind of about class difference, and then someone who moves in with a really rich family, and they kind of have I mean, it's so, the way that Antonia speaks about it is so incredible that I'm still like listening and learning about this amazing character. But they kind of have like a gender, it's not even identity crisis, but there isn't really an answer for her. Are we talking about your role here? Yes. But it's a really, really amazing script, and Antonia is diving through, and hopefully we're shooting it at the end of the year. But yeah, that's what I'm very excited about. Sorry, I gave such a loose description there. Exciting. Valentina, I've got that you're working on more TV, a series called Jerry, is that right?
Yeah, yes, it is.
What can you share?
It is still in post-production. So there I'm a policewoman who is investigating on different cases that every case, each case, it deals with children disappearances with, you know, she's brave and very intuitive woman. You know, studying the character, I was asking why she chose that job. And I found the answer that maybe sometimes it's easier to take care of other people than ourselves. And this move so much my, you know, acting during the shooting. I'm excited. I can't wait to see it because I didn't see anything yet, so I'm curious.
When will we see that?
Sorry?
When is it out?
I hope when we come out, I hope in 2025. I'm not sure. I hope soon. Yeah.
Thank you. As well as Desert People and Atropia, there's more TV, second series of both Severance and The Old Man, and then Happy Family USA. Tell us about that.
Yes, Happy Family USA is an animated show that Rami Youssef created about a Middle Eastern family, and you meet them on the day of 9/11 and how they, it's a comedy and it's animated, but it's about how they have to slap on the face of Happy America USA because everybody labels them as terrorists and all of a sudden is fearful of them, even though they're Egyptian and have obviously nothing to do with the Taliban, but that took probably a decade and still now a lot of Americans to understand the difference. So yeah, that's a fun show. I play the sister who's gay and trying to come out, and she decides she's going to come out on 9/11 and decides to hold back. It's on Amazon, I think.
I heard the conversation happening outside. We should have it inside. What's the one big film at Venice that you've got to see or wanted to see or not getting to see?
I haven't got to see The Brutalist. I really want to see that. I heard Baby Girl is fun.
Which is Helena Rain, is that right?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Of Bottoms.
With Nicole Kidman. And so I want to see that. Yeah, sadly, I haven't had time to get around enough, but I really want to see stuff.
You'd be doing well if you'd even seen those too. So what does the Impact jury have you seeing?
Well, that's other films. Like I was sent 5 screeners. They're all foreign features. Yeah, I mean that's why my duties kind of transitioned this week. But we have to deliberate to pick a film that we find to be the most like impactful on a, you know, on a big level that we feel like makes an effect in the world and is saying something of note. So we'll be gathering soon to figure out what that means.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And what about you? Is there a film that you're queued up to see, or you're sad not to be seeing?
I'm sad that I can't see Guadagnino's last movie, Queer. I'm very curious about that.
That's out on Wednesday, isn't it, or something?
Tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, because I really love his, you know, cruel but true way of telling story. I love it, and so romantic and somehow also magic. I love it. I would like to see it.
Presumably you don't get to see anything. You must be just doing press about your film, or are you getting to see something?
No, really vainly, I've only watched The Brutalist. But I really wanted to see Wolves, which you saw last night. I'm sad I didn't see that. What was Luca Guadagnino here for?
His film Queer is tomorrow.
Oh, that I really want to see.
Daniel Craig.
Yes, that I really want to see. He's amazing. I love him.
Now, and as the interviewer, I know I'm not meant to add one, but just for the record, I'd love to see the Peaches film. Has anybody seen that? No. All right, well, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Full frontal nudity with Peaches. So I'd like to let you know where you can see all these films that we've been referring to, which would be the Miu Miu Club page of miumiu.com. All 28 shorts by directors including Haley Gates, Agnes Varda, for goodness sake, Janixa Bravo, Miranda July, so many others. But now, most importantly, it remains for me to thank our 3 superstar interviewees, Alia Shawkat, Valentina Romani, in her second language, good for you, and Raffey Cassidy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Penny.